Hi everybody, my name is Scott Walls. For over 25 years, I've deployed ERP applications for some of the world's largest organizations. During that time, I've taught thousands of people just like you how to discover, use, deploy, and support Oracle's back office software. In this lesson, I'm going to show you the out-of-the-box reporting options for the Purchase Requisitions application, and that will include OTBI. Please note that this lesson is part of the Discover Procurement course. But before we get started, did you know that you could earn free discovery badges for display on your LinkedIn profile just by watching videos like this one? You can. Stay until the end of this video and I'll show you how. Okay, so let's get started. Key topics for this lesson are as follows. First, seated users. So we'll walk through a particular seated user that works for the Purchase Requisitions application in the Oracle Demo Central seated environments. Next, we'll look at reporting or out-of-the-box reporting on the user homepage. Then we'll look at out-of-the-box reporting on the application homepage. We'll quickly walk through the application search page. So usually it's basic and advanced, but since this is the Manage Requisitions page, it's just a little bit different than usual. And then finally, we'll look at OTBI or Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence. We'll just take a quick look at how you can put together quick queries based on different subject matters. Remember, to learn how to use and or deploy this application, you want to watch the videos under those menu options. And so in this instance, we're going to teach you what's available. But if you really wanted to learn, hey, how do I create a query, let's say in OTBI, those videos are found under the use and or deploy menu options within FusionX.io. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and jump over into our application. So the first question is seated user. You can see here, I'm logged in as Calvin Roth. So Calvin Roth is a procurement user. So the way that security works in Fusion or Oracle Cloud is that Calvin's security, so the data that Calvin can or cannot see, is extended into any of the queries that Calvin can or cannot run. So I log in as Calvin because he's procurement manager and has good user access. That's number one. Number two, what out-of-the-box reporting options are available on the user homepage? And so this is where I logged in. So it is the user homepage. And so if we scroll down, this is the newsfeed layout, we can see there's a couple different analytics that this particular user has access to. These are reports and they have queries or what they call analysis underneath them, so they can be changed, copied, tweaked, etc. They typically come from the roles that this particular user has access to, again, based on security. And so you could define different infolets that you can see. So infolets are when more than one application tends to come together to produce a report, as opposed to info tiles, think like AP invoices coming through a feed specific to one kind or piece of data. And so you've got a series of different user-defined that you've said, hey, Calvin, we want you to see these, and then source to settle general infolets where you have the option for many of them and can just select the different infolets you want to see or this user wants to see. They can personalize their own homepage. So we've covered seated user. We've now looked at the user homepage. With that, let's jump down to the application homepage. So we want to select the procurement functional work area. And as you can see, that shows us the apps. And within that is the Purchase Requisitions application. This will take us to the Purchase Requisitions homepage. And then we can take a look at what we see there. Okay, so here's the Purchase Requisition homepage. It's a little bit different. There's usually three varieties, depending on whether it's a config value, a transaction value, or like in this case, it just puts you right into creating a transaction. So once you're in the application homepage, we're going to kind of combine what would normally be some potential information on the application homepage, because they sometimes will have an overview page. This particular app does not. And then there's also a piece called the manage, contract manage, requisition manage, purchase order, etc. And that's another page that shows searching. We're just going to combine those two together. What you can really do is click this manage requisitions link here. So just something to be aware of, that you or your requester will see what they've created. They can be set up to do more, but they have to be set up as a procurement agent. And so a little bit more about that in our use or deploy video set or catalogs. So what you can see here is very much like a manage screen. And so from here, as you can with most manage screens, you have basic, which is what you see here, sorry. You have basic fields that you can search on, and then you can set to an advanced mode where you'll see additional fields. Did I not get that? Yes, I can. And then you can add these additional fields to limit or further refine your search criteria. And then the fields displayed down here in this section can be added or subtracted in this manner. If you like what you see here, you don't even need to create a report. Most often you can Excel, or rather export the contents of this area down here out to Excel to act as a report, if you will. So that's the seated user, that's the user homepage. We didn't really have an application homepage series of tiles like that overview section you'll see in most apps. This is the application search, if you will. So kind of a manage requisitions. And then lastly, we'll take a quick look at OTBI. And so what we want to do there is we want to go down into tools. You'll want to make sure you have reports and analytics available to you. And you really have two options depending on what your comfort level is. So you can select to browse different subjects here and aggregate or create what they call an analysis. So it's just the query to the database. Or a report, which is the front end of what that analysis can be or how it can be displayed. Or if you're less familiar, you can actually select the create here and it will drive you through a wizard to do exactly the same thing. So if I wanted to start by an analysis, I can just click my create analysis, and what this will do is it will start to show me all these different areas that I, Calvin, in this example, have access to. Now, probably Calvin mostly has registrations or qualifications or certain pieces of information. I don't know why that's taking its time, but let's see if I was to go down here. You will see. And the advantage of doing this pretty consistently is I know that Calvin has should have some supplier registration. So you can see a lot of these here, supplier registration. I just had it named incorrectly. Supplier qualifications, sourcing, suppliers, etc. So these are the different subject matters. So what really Oracle's trying to do here is it's giving you the data that you need by object, and it stitches together all the different tables so that you don't have to understand how to join them together. Oracle will do that for you. All you need to do is find the data values you want and then pull them onto a report. So again, just kind of, since we're looking at requisitions actually, let's go in and look what will be procurement. And so I've probably got purchasing agreements. Here's requisitions. I could select that, continue. And then what I'm going to get is a series of different objects here that I can pull into my selected columns. And then as you can see, I can select the view, edit, and assign some reports. I can filter, meaning, oh, I don't want to see for that business unit or above that dollar value, etc. So it's really straightforward from here. The one thing that you'll want to notice is sometimes you get aggregate functions of data, and then most of the time you can also find the actual fields. When you want a field, you can double click it, drag and drop it, click these buttons, but you just build the fields that you want to see on your report, and you can walk through this particular wizard, if you will. Conversely, if you get better at this and want to be more refined or faster, then you don't have to use the wizard. You could, as I said earlier, just go through and browse the catalog, meaning these different tables or objects, and perform this series of steps on your own. So that's really it. We talked about seated user for the purchase recs. We went and looked at the user's homepage where some of this data can be stored in infolets. We then don't really have an application homepage per se that has an overview page with a bunch of tiles on it. But what we did do is we went to the application search page, manage requisitions. We looked at the basic and the advanced, added some fields, showed how to push to Excel. And then lastly, we went through this particular piece of reporting analytics. So this, again, this video focuses on what is available. If you want to learn how to use it or how to set it up, then those are different videos and different catalogs. So that's it for this out-of-the-box reporting for purchase requisitions video. Hopefully you found it helpful. Okay, as promised, here are the 5 steps you can perform today to start earning free badges for your LinkedIn profile. Step 1, navigate to Panameer.com and either sign in or join now. It's free. Step 2, in the upper left, under the Discover menu, select the course that you want to watch and get badged for. Step 3, watch all of the different video lessons in that course. Step 4, when it's complete, send your LinkedIn profile and the course you watched and your user ID to badges@panameer.com. And then sit back and wait for step 5 when we attach a badge to your LinkedIn profile.